Hello, y'all. Showing you the second and third book review. Since I been doing some book reading for these years and stuff like that, showing you a book that works, actually do work. This is the next thing I noticed. I was making a collection. That's pretty cool, especially when each book cost me about $16.99. But I'm going to show you the second and third book review. Dan Cranberry's second book. It's a good book. It's teaching you how to cook in the wild. It's a real good book. And I did my testing in every chapter he has in here. There's 249 pages. And he starts it out with about 50 years experience, meaning he actually learned from his grandfather and his great-grandfather and his grandfather and the military. This book right here is all you really need to look at for a while. Now, Bushcraft 101 is just teaching you how to build stuff and this and that. That's because you're going to be out there for a while. You get bored. You got to find something to do. This book is actually teaching you how to make traps for hunting and fishing. And it's also one of the books that you better need to know when you take his course. All his books, he's only got 3 major books that hit #1 New York Times list. And they actually make his training courses 1, 2, and 3, or 4. All right, this book right here, you see what I'm saying? It ain't but like $16.99. And it's Dan Cranberry, like I told you. All right, chapter indicating of doing and bringing. Cutting tools, combustion, fire making device, covering, metal containers, cordage. Chapter 2, food and require minimum processing, trail mix, snacks, books, and dehydrated foods. Tips and tricks. Chapter 3, whole food that don't require refrigeration. Chapter 4, supplement food stuff. Okay, Chapter 5, checkbox continent. Tips and trades. Building a fire the way you need to be building one. I mean, he actually does it like the firemen tell him. Okay, picking the right wood, starting the fire, tips and tricks. Chapter 7, tools and utensils, how to make them. Cooking utensils and material. Basic equipment. Pros and cons of dishing cooking equipment. Tips and tricks. Chapter 8, improve in landscaping. Cutting and blank. Creating a nice wood utensil. Tips and tricks. Quick bush tips. That's chapter 9. Quick book tools. Quick bush tools. Potted cane. Caliber pole. Rotation tool. Tripod. Rated health. Other field experience containers and the pros and cons of cooking pots. Metal cooking utensils. Tips and tricks. Number 10. Recipes. Frying, boiling, rotation, brizzling, baking, boiling, stewing, steaming. Tips and tricks. Then it's actually cooking recipes. Hunting and trapping fundamentals, locating the animal, behavior of the animal, the signs, and more tricks. Chapter 12, hunting beyond the basics, guns and containers, reload shells, books and tricks. Chapter 13, trapping and beyond, the beginning of the bait animal, eating animal found dead, trapping birds, books and tricks. Chapter 14, butchering the game, from A to Z, from cow to squirrel, rabbit, possum, even crawfish. And more tricks. Chapter 15, catching fish and frogs, and more tricks. Dave's favorite recipes. Cooking outside. Preparing unconventional food, insects, and how and what not to eat. Books and tricks. Foraging for your plants and herbs. Preserving cotton forage food. Emergency cooking. Unconventional fuel and fuel tablets. And still more tricks and more tricks. Chapter 22, making a stove. And solar cooking. Tips and tricks. That was chapter 23. Like I said, this is a great book, especially when I like cooking. Boy, I love cooking. Now, he's got his own recipes in here, and that's the main thing I like. And they are old. They're from the Civil War days. Book number 3 of Dave Canterbury that actually hit the #1 New York selling list. Dave Canterbury's newest book was this right here. See what I'm saying? That's his newest book for Dan Canterbury. It's a good book. It has how many chapters in it? We don't know. Oh, yeah, we do. It's got 12 chapters. Makes it a lot easier with 50 years of wisdom and experience from his great-grandfather, his grandfather, and the military, and his wife. Okay, let's get to this book right here. That's like $16.95. Not $16.99 is what it is. I think all his books are that. Well, what does that have in there? Building your kit. Building your kit. That means going to your go bag. Your 10 C's. The conference of making stuff out of the woods. Tricks. Natural resources from pine, willow, maple, popple, sassafras, birch, and medicine herbs. And medical preparedness. And tricks. 249 pages. Wood tools, simple machine, throwing gods, spears, even making shurikens, and more tricks. Advanced fire crafting, primary fire starting, the bow drill is one of the things he likes doing, and using that steel and stone, that works also. Chapter 5, making the 4 W's of shelter, and more tricks. Knots and knots, binding, weaving, and looming, making looms. Cordages and ropes, knots, weaving, sewing, more weaving, tablet weaving, simple peg looms, link looms, waist looms, netting, net making, and trumpet line, and more tricks. Making traps. Same thing. Animal behavior, signal of animals, the signs of animals, low food chain to the high food chain, and waterfowl. Preserving food and sources. Flour mill, nuts, vegetables, herbs, fruit, leather making, and resource storages. And more tricks. High preservatives, tanning, and clothing, making it out of the animal skin. That means hidden preservatives, tanning, and clothing repair. That goes it, and more tricks. The other one is woodworking. The tools, the dimensions of lumber, workbench, prasom, axes, tools, knives, and replacing the handles of each one. And safety, and more safety, and then more tricks. How to make bow and arrows. Blacksmithing work. He's got it. Containers and conventional containers, and basket weaving. And tips on working on your backpack frame, and more tricks. You got top setup, Dutch oven, cloud charts, primary navigation, mineral hardness scales, and the measuring of food sources. This is a great book. And all his books are $16.99. So you got this one right here at $16.99. It's a great book. It's a New York bestseller. This is another great book of his. See what I'm saying? It's a great seller. New York bestseller. Here's the very first one that he did that made bestseller. Bushcrafting. This is for beginners. He has a school that teaches you all three of these books. Up in Ohio. He is one of the best books guys ever seen. And I have seen his videos, but I have actually seen the same thing. But I go by Cody London, who's the opposite of him when it comes to hunting animals. Cody likes eating herbs, and sometimes he likes worms, crickets, grasshoppers, snails, and certain kind of bees. And he knows how to survive because he walks around. Cody's the only person I've ever seen walk around in the woods barefooted, which Don Canterbury wears boots. Makes common sense to me. So I told you, my book reviews for this week is that. Like, share, subscribe, like, share, subscribe. Talk to you later, brothers. I love comments. I love people give me comments.